That's my mom before she went on to a date. She got so mad.
Bentley, I think it's good.
No,
Bentley.
still marks on the board.
Bentley.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
Still marks on the board.
You're right. Down here.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
you're right.
You almost dirtied my shoes, Mr. X.
I'm sorry.
So you should do mic
Sound won't dirty them right now.
Yo, can we get a spray for like?
I'll dirty them right
Yeah,
now.
there's 1200.
already told you what happened.
No.
Oh my god!
Don't ever dirty.
So close.
You were asking for it.
Yeah, Daniel.
Bad. Who's asking for who?
Ooh.
What's his name, Armando?
Oh, dang.
Girl, you
I
loud.
feel the
She's so
after effects now.
He's been live this entire
Alright, you guys are live, right?
You know what? It's just behind the
So,
scenes.
we're gonna talk about today two things. One is common base equations.
What? I can't snitch.
I can't
You can't snitch.
I like it.
Okay, shh. Common base equations. There's no such a thing as a common base equation, but I just made it up. Jeffrey. Okay, so there is no such a thing as common base equation, but I name it just to help you think about this type of equation. How do you solve it? So here's one of the things on SAT that's always show is this one. So I'm gonna think about a number. Let's say 8, and let's say it's equal to, I don't know, 32 to the x minus 4, and this one is 2x plus 1, something like that. So how do I solve this equation?
You have to turn it around first, right?
You have to solve for x, right? So how do we solve for it?
You turn it around.
Take out your math calculator.
Well.
I was gonna roast somebody, but I can't roast.
Oh.
You won't.
Plus 4? Or
That's
minus
five.
1 for the.
No, you cannot plus 4 minus 1. Yes. You cannot flip it.
That's it.
You cannot simplify either.
Oh, you have to combine.
So there is a reason I have this title.
Common base equation.
Oh, 32 squared equals.
What is it?
Can you set it equal to 0?
You cannot set it equal to 0, but doesn't help you.
I didn't know.
Make a fraction doesn't help you either. So the key thing is, there's no such a thing as a common base equation, but I'm going to name it common base because every time you look at this, you're going to look for the common base. A common base, what do they have in common?
4.
8 and 32. What do they have in common?
2, 4, and 8. 2, 4, and 8.
2, 4, and 8, but there's only one that's very good number.
8.
Not 8.
2.
4.
Has to be 2.
6.
2 can be the
2. So why is a 2 is better? Do you think about it?
Least common factor.
8 also factors in with the
2 to the which power is equal to 8?
4. Oh, no. 3.
Right? 2 to which power is equal to 32? I was right. So now, can I rewrite that? Now also we're gonna also know something. This one's a to the m to the n power is equal to a to the m times n. We know that because that was the exponential rule. So now we're gonna apply those here. What do they have in common? So instead of write down 8, I could write down 2 to the third. And then that's gonna be, well, we gotta make sure the parenthesis here, there's a parenthesis right here, right? So that's gonna be 2x plus 1. So now here, I'm gonna say that's equal to, and then 2 to the 5th power to the x plus 4, x minus 4. Now why do I have parentheses here? Because that's gonna distribute. So that's gonna give you 6x, 2 to the 6x plus 3 is equal to 2 to the 5x minus 20. So how does that help? Right. So the bottom says 2, right? If I have the top part equal to each other, for example, 2 to the 5th power is equal to 2 to the 5th power, right? So if the top part is equal to each other, then the whole equation is equal to each other. So I can drop the 2 simultaneously. I can say 6x plus 3 is equal to 5x minus 20. And I'm solve for it, so it's going to give you x plus 3
How do you get rid of
is equal to negative 20. X is equal to negative 23, and that's my answer here.
Oh, because of, if it
You
has the
divide by-
same base?
If I have the same base, only if they have same base. That's why I say common base equation.
Okay.
If they have no different base, sometimes you got 3 and 4, they don't have the same base. Then there's other way to solve that problem. You have to use the logarithms, which is go into pre-calc. But right now, we're gonna deal with just only the common base. So here's my question. My next question is a little bit more challenging. I want you guys to figure out. So my next challenge is this. What if I have this? 27 to the x minus 1 is equal to 1 over 9
Oh, no, no, sure.
to the 2x plus 1.
Okay.
It's actually not as hard as you think, but you have to know all the exponential rule. So look at the exponential rule. A to the negative n is equal to 1 over a to the n.
What?
Okay? And those are the exponential rule keep on coming back to you. So 1 over a to the negative n is equal to a to the n over 1. So that's going to help you here to think about all those things. Yes, Michael?
For 2 to the power 6x plus 3, do you just divide by 2 to get rid of 2?
Not divided by 2. Just don't worry about the 2 and just take care of the top. Because the bottom, if the bottom is the same base, right? If top number is equal to each other, for example, 2 to the 35 power is equal to 2 to the 35 power, then they are equal to. So because the base are the same, you just have to make sure the power is equal to each other.
But then wouldn't the final answer be 2 to negative 23?
No, the final answer is you're solving for x. X is equal to negative 23. Not 2 to the negative 23. It has nothing to do with it. If I plug in negative 23, if you have graphing calculator, you could have plugged in here negative 23 here and negative 23 equal to each other. They should equal to each other. I think I have graphing calculator. Hopefully I can look it up. So I want you to work on my question. Meanwhile, I'll try those questions. So no battery, so it doesn't help. I will constitute myself.
Oh, I get it.
Jaden's smart. We should try the first day, do the homework. You'll be like, good grade. You cannot factor that. Marion, you got it? Good. So the answer should get, if you get it right, you should get 1 over 7. If you need help, raise your hand. Sarah, you got it? No? Ken, Marion, can you help out Ken? If you got 1 over 7, you can help somebody. Who got 1 over 7? You can help the person behind you, Michael.
Huh?
You need help?
I don't.
Ashua need help too. Andres, you got it? You almost close getting it? You let me know. I'm come check it out.
Okay, so you do some good. Okay, that's not hard. I just want to make sure, like,
Do you understand that?
I like kept them the same.
Think about 1 over 9 and 27. What do they have in common? Yes.
1 over something.
Yeah.
They have a 3,
Okay, so you're gonna help them. So you, Andreas, you're responsible to explain to people at the same time.
I actually got this 1 over 9.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
I actually got this 1.
Okay, good.
Who needs help? So since it's 1 over 9.
Uh, Jeffrey need help. Asriel need help, right?
And then you get.
Andres, the guy with the red shirt need help too.
Twenty-seven and 9 is like fifteen raised to the power of 30. 27. You get that? And then you multiply that times 22.
What's the power?
And it's at least, it says that 9 to the power of negative. 2.
Yeah.
So 9 to the power of 2.
Alright,
The
so
power
what
of
was
2 is
it?
9.
I knew something was negative.
Now it's over.
So you have to break them down, so they have the same base. So 27 and 9, they can be both equal to 2. So what's the power of 3 is equal to 9?
I thought things can't be negative on the bottom.
Andres, can you help out the guy with the red shirt?
Okay.
Red shirt guys, what's your name?
So
Lighter?
So the power of 4
Yeah,
is
so
9.
Andrew's gonna help you.
Okay.
So since that's 9 to the power of negative 1, negative on top 2.
Oh, wait.
And negative 2. And then you get.
Alright, got it?
It means
Do you need help? Do you need help?
Mister, yeah, can you go over
What?
Can you go over negative?
No, Asriel's gonna help you. Asriel's got
I'm not
it?
even fully understanding it now.
Not fully understand it. I need somebody to help me. Ken, do you understand it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so Ken's gonna help you.
Oh,
No. Learning how to teach. Learning how to teach, come on. I'll supervise you. If you teach you wrong, then I'll feed you.
I can put one over next to each other. Oh, okay.
Alright.
You got
I did it wrong.
Alright, you explain it to me.
No, I did it wrong.
Alright.
Yeah, that's all. I'm confused
I
on
got
this part.
it.
I wanna write it. I wanna do it.
And then I knew those 3 to the negative 2
Yeah,
power.
you did that.
So y'all gonna ask about the
And 1 over
why it's a negative 2?
It's to
I got stuck between the random, I was like, I don't know what's next.
set up,
It's
you
not
know,
the
multiply
negative
2
2
and
power.
negative 1.
Okay, so
Negative 2.
regardless.
So it's not, it's
No,
not
it is.
3.
Regardless, it's 1 over 2.
It's not negative 6
1
to negative
over 3
the 2 power.
It's 3, so they can't be on the bottom.
Okay.
Flip it, and make it negative. Yeah, all I did was mess up on the negative 2.
Then you distribute it, you take out the 3, so 3x.
But she,
When we flip it.
I had to
Okay,
do
so,
myself.
so
I was
when
like,
we
wait, he has a point. Why is this negative?
wait, so when we flip it, the
Ken, you did a good job. The only way you're gonna learn Ken better is
when you
teaching.
flip it, the negative, the 2 to.
Do you need help, Katarina? Okay,
I don't want to help anymore. I confused myself. Like, I have the right answer, but I did it weirdly. I don't know.
Andres, can you help out then?
It does
That's
negative
it, so
2.
it is. To be wearing knee pads. I really want to.
oh, it's over 7, right? Yeah.
Yeah, equals negative 4.
It's 1 over 7, right?
That's all I got.
You did it, alright. So you're gonna write, I'm gonna write. So you're gonna change that to 9.
Wait till 5 minutes are up.
Just look, is it, where's Benny? Benny, I was in the bathroom for like 5 minutes.
He has an issue.
He's eating.
Yeah, he has a bladder problem.
Yeah, I got it right.
He has a bladder problem, sir.
I mean,
That's seriously?
Mister, Tatiana confused me, but Mariam fixed it.
But I still got the right answer, even though I confused him. So, it's chicken on the board.
What chicken on the board?
The one I raised.
But it's not
Not a chicken. It's a roast.
Alright, so,
Mister, you should give another example problem.
You should. A harder one.
Yes, just another example.
The homework is so hard.
What?
Add a negative somewhere, because I know you're gonna do it for homework.
Yeah.
Give us a somewhere, because I know you're gonna give us the one you're gonna do for homework.
I love negative signs.
Exactly.
Exhibit A.
Give us one that kind of give us some for homework.
Just give us the homework. Why would he like that?
Good. Negative. They cry a lot. They're sensitive. Meaning they easily get
First of all, I
negative.
wasn't maybe kidding. That was the opposite.
It's a joke, Miriam. You You see, you're sensitive right now. You're getting on defensive.
This is not
sensitivity.
Is that 235 or 135?
You know what, we don't know.
Plus the negative
I'll ask my neighbor.
125.
Every kid.
I had to cover one more question, by the way, so.
No, I'm
Holy! I just blinked and that appeared on the board.
I know, right?
Yeah, you can try that one. Some people say they want to try extra questions.
Oh, those are two different ones? I'm dumb. Wait, it's the same one. Wait.
Almost.
What's the trick?
See the common base. I mean, there was some harder one to be like this. Let's see.
Don't do the harder one.
Don't you want to be able to do the homework with examples?
Okay, but look what he's putting on the board.
I'd rather know like he's gonna put that on homework than not know and try to go home and do it.
And then fail miserably.
So there's a, maybe like four.
Honestly, ever since I took this class,
So
and
you
I
can
got
think about that one too.
Right?
Yeah.
I know what you did.
Mister, come check my work.
No, I'm gonna cover the next thing.
Mister, but I need to check.
What's the answer? It really
I don't know how to do it.
That's the
I never did a problem, it's just a sign problem. You think that I do all the problem?
Miriam, what'd you get?
Child, I'm just doing it right now. Nope, not.
He's dying.
He's choking on Cheetos.
Yo, what'd you get? Tatiana, what'd you get?
Your mom.
I got -4 over 11.
That's what I got.
Yeah, me too.
I did it.
You cheated this one.
No, I didn't. I didn't cheat. I swear, I have all my work.
Alright, we're gonna talk about
She
next
always
thing.
thinks I cheated, mister.
Oh my god, Jeffrey Hill.
We're gonna talk about next thing.
See if you, first she
You
me my
didn't cheat on
ball.
mine though.
Okay, you see, this is why I can't tell nobody that.
You know, did you guys know that there's like the thing right there? You can hear everything that we're saying.
Yeah.
I wanna
Do you have him in one of your classes?
Alright, quadratic inequality.
Are you gonna give us the homework like that one?
Yeah, fine. It's not hard. It's just see
Is
that.
it like flip?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not bad. You're gonna see that the common base is 2 over 3.
Yeah, right, okay, cause I saw, and then it'll be 2 over 3 to the power of negative.
Yeah, look.
Okay.
-3 goes to
So easy.
He messed up on one little thing.
Alright, so quadratic inequality.
Yeah. I got the second one.
We're gonna talk about second concept we're gonna have to deal with. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about compound inequality, but this is the hardest one, hardest concept you're gonna foresee because this is actually pre-cal stuff. So I'm gonna start with some question that's relatively easy. So for example, it's on that side of the board. So it'll be x squared less than 4. And then you say, hey, what is x squared less than 4? What do you do? So x squared less than 4, you say, hey, I have this thing is second degree, and then inequality. They usually stand for quadratic inequality. Now they can be third degree, could be fourth degree, it's called compound inequality. It could be rational expression, could be all those things. So you have to learn how to deal with it when you see anything higher than first degree. Here's a way to do it. You're gonna set the equation equal to 0, just like normally you would do. So you will set equation equal to 0. Set equation to equal to 0. So that is probably the best way to do it. So I'm gonna subtract 4 on both sides. I'm gonna get x squared minus 4 is less than 0. Now we're gonna pretend that they're equal to 0. We'll pretend they're equal to 0. So we're gonna pretend here, we're gonna say, pretend x squared minus 4 is equal to 0 as far right now. We pretend that because we can find endpoints. So we're gonna find endpoints. Okay, we're gonna find endpoints. So how do I do that? Well, I can factor this. No, we just pretend.
Oh, minus 2.
We pretend.
It's plus and minus, it's plus and minus, Mister.
And then x is equal to -2, x is equal, actually x equal to +2, x is equal to -2. So now we're gonna use those two endpoints and we're gonna draw a number line. We're gonna draw it from here. And we're gonna say this part is -2, and this part is 2, and this is -infinity, and this is infinity. And not only that, we're gonna write a two factor here. The two factor is gonna be x minus 2 and x plus 2. And now write it vertically, so that's to help you here. Now I'm gonna plug in any number to test this region. We're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna come back to talk about the questions. So we're gonna test the region. We're gonna test a number from -infinity to -2. What's a good number to test?
5.
1.
4.
Negative.
5. Anything in between. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Negative
Negative
2.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Negative infinity to -2.
Never mind.
So any number between -infinity to -2, what's a good number?
That's
Give me one.
-4.
-4, thank you. So -4 minus 2, right? I don't really care about it's -6, but if I plug in -4 into here, I'm gonna get something like a negative sign. I don't even care about what number is it. I'm gonna plug in -4 plus 2, what kind of sign I'm getting? So what is negative times negative? This region is gonna be positive.
What?
Negative times negative is positive because they are right next to each other, they multiply each other.
That don't make sense.
Negative times negative does not equal to positive.
No, that's a negative infinity plus -2 is positive. No, you're saying that region is positive, I understand, yes. But how is that?
Okay, let me finish.
Keep explaining, please.
If I'm gonna go from negative infinity to 2, I'm gonna pick a number in between that. What's a good number to test?
0.
0, good. So I'm gonna plug in 0 minus 2, that's gonna give you a negative. 0 plus 2, that's gonna give you positive. Negative times positive
Negative.
is negative. So now we're gonna test the 3 or 4. So 4 minus 2,
2.
4.
4 minutes.
4 minutes, okay, that's fine. 4 minus 2, now we're gonna plug in here, thank you. So that's gonna be positive and positive and positive. So then you say, we're gonna say this region, the function is gonna be positive, this region is gonna function is gonna be negative, this region is gonna be positive here. So we're gonna test them. We're gonna say, hey, what if I wanna use this to answer my question? This number line test does not guarantee me an answer. That does not show me anything. That does not show me a solution. So what you're gonna do is gonna take this region, you're gonna look at this original question. So this is the part I'm looking. So if it's looking for here, so it's less than 0, 0. So if it's less than 0, that means you look for negative region. Okay, look for negative region. Now in this question it's not less than 0, but if this is greater than 0, so if it's greater than 0, you look for positive region.
Just search something.
Region. So that's the part that you're gonna think about. So now, since they say the question is less than 0, so you're looking for the negative region, so it's this region here. So your answer is gonna be from -2 to +2, and that's the answer. Now if you graph these functions of y equal to x squared minus 4, that's gonna have this function like this. That's gonna be -2 and 2. If you graph this function right here, x squared minus 4, you're gonna see only this part is below x-axis. So that's the only part that's gonna be negative region, and this part is gonna be positive region, it's gonna be positive region. So if you're graphing that part.
So the answer is -2.
Right. So here's my question to you. I know the pair is gonna end, but I'll give you an answer also. X squared subtract x is greater than 6. So I want you to solve for this quadratic inequality. First of all, you have set the equation equal to 0. Okay, so you have to move the 6 to the other side, and you have to factor it, and you have to find endpoint, and you have to test each region. And you have to go back to original question, especially not this part, but this part here. You gotta look at it greater than 0 or less than 0, so you know which region you're looking for. Now this is going to be the hardest question on your test, is looking for that region.
Okay.
It's called quadratic inequality, and this is the first part that you're going to see in terms of precalculus. No. Because it's greater than 0, you didn't do number line test first of all. If you do number line test, you should get like something like a negative infinity to I think negative 2, and then 3 to infinity, I think. That's the end.
Are we gonna have this on the homework?
Yes. You can look at the graphic calculator to check.
Let's first mark.